discussion of the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matters to be discussed is legal personnel negotiations. It's anticipated these matters will be made public within 60 days. This resolution shall become effective immediately. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Probably bring the mic to you so you don't have to feel like you can just stand there and then talk to you and walk over. Okay. You sit on this side, much better.
Chris, I think the internet came back. Got it on the phone. We're good?
Yep.
All right.
Turn it on now.
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to call back for the executive session, the Manchester Township Board of Education October meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Janet?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Here.
Mr. Staples?
Here.
Ms. Mount?
Here.
Mrs. Hudak?
Here.
Mr. P.
May you join me in standing for the flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you all for coming out tonight. Can you hear me okay? Am I don't know. Mike,
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I had it the wrong way. Technology and me. All right, I do want to thank you all for coming out tonight. It's nice to see people again. Yeah, it's been a while since we were able to have people in the audience. My report is very, very short. I want to thank the teachers, administrators, all support staff, and everybody that this last 6 weeks has been very challenging for everybody, parents as well, students, for everybody. We're making it work somehow, some way. We're getting there. We're learning as we go. Doesn't help when you have days like today, but what are you going to do? It's the way it is. So I do want to thank everybody for their efforts, and hopefully we can get back to our normal, whatever our normal is, by definition. On behalf of the board, I would like to extend our condolences to the Bullock family for a loss. Anytime we lose one of our family members, not only the immediate family, but also the school family suffers for that. And we do want to extend our condolences to the Bullock family during this very difficult time that we got going forward, and let them know that our thoughts and prayers are with them at this time. All right, Mr. Cudway?
I think we're gonna go right into our Teachers of the Year and Service Professional of the Year. I've been waiting patiently, so I'm gonna jump right into that first. So I'm gonna ask Mr. Adams to come up and do the honors for our High School Teacher of the Year, and I won't steal his thunder, but she also has a couple other accolades. And this kind of might be anticlimactic today, because I understand Governor Murphy called her today. Of course, the best day to call when we don't have the internet service, but she was honored there and had a nice conversation with him. But I'm going to let Mr. Adams speak about her and Lucy, and we'll recognize her. Normally, one of our biggest nights is in May. We do all the Teachers of the Year and all the Educational Service Professionals of the Year. It's a great night. I think every board member says that's the best night, because we hear about not only our staff, but their stories behind the fact that they're here as professionals also. That's a great night. Unfortunately, we missed that last year. So we are catching up. We don't have 6 teachers and 6 professionals, so in a way, you two got the spotlight today, so that's good. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Adams and recognize our teacher and our service professional of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Trethewey.
It is my esteemed pleasure to recognize Mrs. Lucia DeLeo as the High School Teacher of the Year and the Ocean County Teacher of the Year. Both are indicative of how much passion and commitment Lucy dedicates to her teaching profession. It is commonplace for Lucy to go above and beyond for her students, to translate her wealth of knowledge and experience with her students. Mrs. DeLeo has been teaching at Manchester for 24 years. She continues to be a shining light for our school. In recent years, she has been the World Language Advisor, Cultural Awareness Advisor, used as a translator for our ESL students, and one of our dual enrollment professors. And the list could go on and on and on. She's consistently in pursuit of excellence and student achievement. She thrives on helping students reach each potential and making Manchester the very best it can be. As a highly motivated teacher with an outstanding rapport with students and staff, her daily impact on our entire student body is amazing. Each time you enter her classroom, you see experience, strong content knowledge, connections, high energy that is contagious. Most importantly, when talking to fellow alumni, Mrs. DeLeo is one of those teachers whose name always gets mentioned when reliving the high school days. That tells me that she has had a dramatic impact on many students with positive memories. As a teacher, that is the ultimate compliment, to know that your character and the life lessons you have taught have made a lasting imprint on the lives of their students. With every new academic initiative, Lucy is there at the forefront, leading staff towards meeting the goals and challenges of each initiative. Her positive energy and purpose to lead by example are the many reasons why our current World Language Department flourishes. It is without hesitation. Lucy has given her very best. So tonight, Lucy, we would like to thank you on behalf of the Board of Education, students, parents, and staff, as well as the entire community, that we would like to honor you and thank you for your lifelong commitment to our school district. Thank you very much.
You always wanted a top pin, right? Congratulations, Lucy.
It has definitely been an experience. Mr. Adams, thank you from my heart for those beautiful, heartfelt words. What an experience this has been this past year. I was looking forward to the May meeting, actually, so it was there. We really wanted to be with you, but we know the circumstances that came about have been quite unique. This year has been a unique experience for all of us learning. As teachers, we became students. All of the things that we learned as teachers was put to the side. And now we had to learn again and relearn again. So I want to thank everyone here, the board members here. I've had some of your children as my students. I have some of them still now. And I am ever grateful for you, for being great role models as parents and students that have made such an impact in my life here as a teacher. I have been here in Manchester for a long time, and throughout the years, I have quietly and silently abdicated the title. I've given my colleagues that chance. I didn't want to be in the spotlight, but this past September, when Mr. Adams came in, he took me off guard, and I couldn't say no. So I want to thank you for that surprise, and the surprises that came afterwards. I didn't realize that 24 years ago when I got hired here, I was hired as a substitute teacher, taking over a position for Mrs. Helen Benjamin, who unfortunately was diagnosed with a very terminal illness. And I think you need to know why I'm telling the stories so you understand the passion that I have as well. 2 days later, unfortunately, she passed away, and I knew that her love for language was amazing. I was a French major at the time with an Italian and Spanish minor. So I went back to school, got my degree, and started teaching here at Manchester, and it has been a legacy. I've had principals throughout the state coming to me and emailing me and sending me letters to go to them, but I stayed at Manchester. I stayed here in Manchester because of those two people that are back there. My parents worked hard their whole entire life, and that's how you are here as parents. So I stayed in Manchester because I know what type of parents you are, because you're just like my parents. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I felt loyal to Manchester, and I wanted to stay here. So that move and that decision really changed my life. There were many decisions that changed my life. So I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity, staying and shining. I love what I do in class. I love my languages. I love learning. I love teaching, and I love the obstacles that I have, because that makes me better. When I was asked to be part of a bigger picture, not only just the high school, and I was being emailed from the county and states in Trenton to fill out the paperwork, I was really overwhelmed by it, and I had to write something about it. And I wanted to share what I wrote that went to the county and went to the state as well. And I was shocked when I was top 12 of the state, like, oh my God, I can't do this. I would have loved to represent Manchester there, but I think they realized in one of the statements that I wrote why Manchester was very important. When I introduced myself in school, I have the song playing in the background, and it's a song that was sung by Whitney Houston, and she says in her refrain, "I believe children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier." And those words I hear over and over again in my classroom, because it's my beliefs and my personal feelings that are based on one simple fact, that I believed in myself. And I believe that these children that I've come to love and cherish through the years that walk into my classroom, they realize that I truly believe in them. And I believe in myself, just like my parents believed in me. They instilled in me a work ethic that was very simple and caring, just like you have in your children, and I want to share that here in Manchester. And at the very end, I said in my paperwork, I'm not going to read the whole thing because we've been here listening to my little story here, but at the end, I say that the last 10 years have opened up a plethora of knowledge, not only for my students, but for myself. Integrating technology in the classroom has opened pathways to travel the world just in room 106. So we've gone to all the countries that you could imagine. In Africa for the French languages, in Spanish, in South America for the Spanish languages. And it's only a little part for a few seconds, but just looking at the kids' eyes light up when they are just traveling the world with Google Maps and the technological things that we use is phenomenal. And I end in that part saying that it's all happening in one little classroom in Manchester Township. In my message for the county and state teacher, I said I believed in myself, and once that belief is rooted, the branches will expand from the trunk of our being at Manchester, and we embrace whatever weather conditions or obstacles that come along the way here at Manchester, and today was one of those. In the seasons of life, there's so much changes, and being a world language teacher exposes me to the many gardeners of cultures that come here in Manchester. We don't know, but we have a lot of kids that come from different cultures from around the world here. And I attach to those ESL students because I'm an ESL student as well. English is not my first language, it was my second language. I actually was at 5 years old teaching my parents how to speak the English language as well. So I embrace my personal experience in language, and I spread my love to the seeds of the students and the people that have come along the way in my classroom. And I nourish them with the seeds of knowledge to travel to places they have never thought of before entering my class. And I truly believe that accepting any obstacles that come along the way, whether it's a violent windstorm like cancer, or whether the branches may break and the leaves fly in an erratic motion like our thoughts, we stand firm here in Manchester. I have always loved teaching here, and I tell my students this, that believe in yourself, that the season will pass and a new one will begin. Embrace people from all different cultures, from all different languages, and show the world how beautiful it is to be a hawk, a tree here in Manchester Township. And it's a place, a time, during the season now, like when leaves are changing, we're all different and all unique as the leaves that we are here. And I ask the students to always soar above our trees here at Manchester. And that's one of the things I love here. I want to thank all of you board members, the administration, everyone here, the students, the parents, thank you. This award not just goes to me, but for all of you and all the teachers and all the parents and all you students here, so thank you.
Lucy, how have your parents come up? You get a picture? Come on up. You should be right. Yeah, your son? Can you get that, Diane? Come on up.
As they're coming up, I'll tell you a little bit about them. At the age of 13, my father decided to leave the United States to go back to Sicily. I thought I knew Italian, but I didn't. So I'm learning Italian. That's where my languages came about from them. Daddy, did you mention nella foto? Papà.
Yep. Where did your son get all that height? That's what I'm looking at. Very good. One question, Lucy, I have for you is, you said you've been teaching here 24 years?
Yes, sir.
And you told me before you were 34 years old, so you started at 10? Am I getting that right?
No, sir.
One thing I will say, we've been very fortunate to have Lucy here as a teacher, but one thing about her, she's very positive. She's an excellent teacher, but she's always striving to do more. And I think that's what she instills in her students. And as sweet as she looks now, every time she sees me in the hallway, she said, but this is what we need to do to get better. This is what we need. And I respect that because she's always looking for herself to get better, and she's always looking for her kids to get better. So, well-deserved, Lucy. Congratulations on Manchester Teacher High School and also County Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. Obviously, a key part of our staff are the teachers, but another key part, especially in these times, is our educational service professionals. And one thing that our students miss while we're doing remote is you don't have those positive role models, you don't have those positive influences every day that you would have when you come into class and when you come into school. That's something our students miss, and Mr. Pate said it's good to see students back, and students were really excited to come back. And one of the reasons is people like Christine, who's very positive, and something that our students need in this really tough time, because we're struggling, adults are struggling, staff is struggling, parents are struggling, but our students really struggle in this difficult time, and building back those relationships. And that's why somebody like Christine is so important to our school and so important to our students. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Adams to tell us a little bit about our Educational Service Professional of the Year.
It is my honor to endorse Christine Grilly as the Educational Services Professional of the Year for Manchester Township High School. Christine's dedication to the students of Manchester is evident in and outside of the classroom. She is involved in many community events that support our student body. She is well known and respected for her work ethic and patience with students while in the classroom. In the classroom, her display of compassion and firmness helps students reach a high level of achievement. She works well with classroom teachers to provide a vibrant culture that enhances teaching and learning. Her daily display of kindness adds positivity to our school culture and models the attitude needed for a successful school. Mrs. Grilly understands the value of education and makes connections with students. In doing so, she has had a powerful impact on students and staff. Every day, she is ready to actively tackle any challenge with a smile. Can't see the smile this year, but you can see the smile last year. I have never, on any occasion, seen or heard any unpleasant comment, gesture, or mood, but only politeness and a great attitude. Christine, I've watched you on many occasions offer support and encourage students to be better and continue working hard on and off the field. You are a bright light in Manchester, and we appreciate all of the countless hours you sacrifice to serve our student body. Thank you for being an amazing individual. On behalf of the Board of Education, students, staff, and administration, we congratulate you again, and you and your family, and we salute you for your commitment and service to our high school. Thank you very much.
Don't give this off to your husband.
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody for coming. I'm a little nervous, so I will be short and sweet. I just want to thank everybody for the recognition for being ESP of the Year, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Get these guys up there, let's get a picture here. What the heck? Come on, come on. I think here's the short one here. Congratulations. Here's your time. Congratulations, Christine. So before we go into our next presentation, I see we have a distinguished guest here. And you might know her, I guess, I don't know. Ms. Biscardi, would you want to come up and say a few words?
Good evening, everybody. I'm from the high school. My name's Adrienne Biscardi, and I'm here to represent SGA. But before I talk about that, I just want to recognize Ms. DeLeo. As a former student, the current vice president of her Cultural Awareness Club, and next year I will hopefully take AP Spanish with her. But I really just want to recognize her because she has been a phenomenal role model for me in and out of the classroom. She's just an amazing, independent woman, and she has, well, we have our little saying that we're happy, whole, and complete. And I have gone to her with, you know, so many worries whenever I'm stressed, and she has been just an amazing teacher to me, and thank you so much, Ms. DeLeo, and it's really well deserved. So. Okay, and then now for what I'm really here for. So I'm here to represent student government. I am on the executive board, and this year we had virtual elections for our class. So each class you had to fill out the application and record a Flipgrid speech. You know, we usually have the speeches in the auditorium. The whole grade comes in and you speak, you know, on the podium and everything. But we had to change that for the circumstances this year. So we did have the elections, and on October 15th, we were all sworn in on Zoom, and it was an interesting experience because we've usually done it after school in here, but we're really making everything work. And you know, as of right now, our executive board, we had a tie for our president, so we have co-presidents, Crystal Kilfeather and Helena Staples. They're both seniors. Our vice president is Miles Davis. He's a senior. I'm the secretary. And our treasurer is Shania Morris. She is a junior. And so so next week, we got our Spirit Week approved, and Monday we're doing a blue and gold, Hawks theme. Tuesday is Hawks Go Hawaiian, so a little Hawaiian theme. Wednesday is Breast Cancer Awareness Day. Thursday is Where Would You Rather Be? So basically you could change your Zoom background. So if you want to be at the beach, you could be at the beach or like the mountains. So, and then Friday we're doing a Halloween or class theme day. Each class has a different theme, and we're decorating our hallways accordingly. Then next Saturday, on Halloween, we have, there's a home football game, and that's where the homecoming court will be announced and everything, and we're still waiting on word on homecoming. And the executive board, we are running a fan cloth fundraiser, and we're donating that money to a charitable cause, and it runs until October 29th, and everything gets shipped right to your door. So we are looking forward to a great year. Of course, we have to readjust, but I think we have a very bright year ahead of us. So, and thank you so much to the board for letting me speak, and yeah, have a great night.
All right, our next is we're going to do a presentation on our graduation pathway data collection, and I'm going to have to ask the board to now move to the front because we have a big screen coming down. So if we can take a seat in the front row, and then we'll be set. You're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. Tom, did you get that?
Yes, I did, thank you.
done this before. I have a question. Oh, not still hers, there you go. There you go. Perfect, no problem. There you go.
There's another folder, is that everything? I did send all the principals a copy. I guess we can begin. The presentation will be posted.
So good evening, and thank you for allowing Mr. Adams and I to present this evening the graduation data collection. This presentation will be posted also online tomorrow morning. The graduation data collection is actually a way the state captures information to see how students fulfill their graduation requirements for testing. And actually, we haven't done this presentation for you probably since 2017 because in the last past 3 years, the DOE has asked us to please do this through a reporting in EWIG, which is the homeroom section of the DOE. This year, I think, based upon our circumstances and the situations that we've had, it's probably the reason why they're asking us to make sure that the community and everyone is aware of how the students met the state testing requirement. And so when the presentation does come up, we'll go through and explain to you that there are 3 pathways that students need to, I'm glad I put this on a jump drive. There are 3 pathways that students need to be able to use in order to meet the state testing requirement. Pull this down if that's okay. As you're aware, state testing is done through NJSLA, and you'll see in one of our slides that the first pathway is for students to pass the NJSLA. They must pass it in ELA, and they must pass it in math. The second pathway allows children that do not pass ELA or math for NJSLA, or if some of the students actually met the PARCC requirement, they're able to use a second pathway. Typically, that second pathway could be the NJSLA in 9th grade with a cut score that might be a little bit lower. It could also be taking it through an AccuPlacer. It could be taking it through an SAT. It could allow a student to take an ASVAB, and that would be the second pathway that students could meet the graduation requirement. The third way a child could actually pass the state assessment requirement is through a portfolio, and that's called a portfolio appeal. We good? So with a portfolio appeal, that means that the student has gone through the first pathway and didn't meet the assessment requirement. They've gone through the second pathway and they haven't met one of those state assessment requirements. And then the state allows a child to actually take a portfolio. Now you probably remember in years past, our district was actually given kudos and accolades for being involved in the portfolio creation. We actually created what is called constructed response tasks for the county, and they were approved at the Department of Education level, and those actual tasks are what are used for the portfolio. We actually were able to submit our portfolios in February of 2020, we only had 4 students that required a portfolio. Of those 4 students, 1 of those 4 needed to take a portfolio for ELA and for math. So for us, that was very good because when March came around and there was concerns about portfolio appeals and what was the state going to be doing, our portfolios were already done and they were already submitted. And at that time, we only had 4 students that did not meet one of the first or second pathways for graduation. Of course, then when the slide eventually comes up, you'll see that the governor had a waiver. And because of that waiver, students that did not meet assessment requirements by March, that had been waived as long as they were able to get their seat time in, they had all of their credits, they had to fulfill the other graduation requirements. Is it not opening? I put it on a jump drive just in case we didn't have the internet, so here we go. The thing about the pathways allows children to have multiple opportunities to be able to fulfill that assessment requirement. But we are very proud in Manchester because of the fact that we were able to give a lot of children a lot of different opportunities, as you'll see in the slides that are coming forward. So you can see we're talking about the class of 2020. This is current information. We were asked to do this despite the fact that there was a waiver, but you'll see that the data is very, very promising because our students were in very good situation where, as I said, there were only 4 children that needed to take a portfolio. Keep going. So that is actually the link to the assessment requirements. Mr. Treadway and I actually had a conversation because a lot of this information on the Department of Education website is still being discussed and still being updated. But the one thing that I can tell you is the next 3 slides are actually the information. Mr. Adams, could you click? This is the first pathway that I spoke about before. Traditional route, the way a child would actually test. NJSLA or PARC in grade 10 for ELA, NJSLA or PARC, algebra, and they would have to get a level 4. Of course, then if you see that 3rd paragraph, it talks about the executive order that waives the graduation assessment requirement for 12th grade students. Next slide is the 2nd pathway, and this talks about the assessments that a child or a student could take in order to fulfill that requirement. So they take the NJSLA, they may not meet the level 4, then the 2nd pathway would open up for a student. They could take, as I spoke about before, a grade 9 assessment, they could take a AccuPlacer, they could take an ASVAB. Let's just say they go through all of that and they still do not meet a score that allows them to fulfill that requirement. They would go to the next pathway, which is the 3rd, and that's the NJDOE portfolio appeal. Of course, all of this was changed once, class of 2020 in March. So the waivers actually allowed kids to be able to meet the assessment requirement as long as they had fulfilled the other requirements. These are the pathways that Mr. Adams will be talking about. And of course, they talk about the assessments that the children would take, an alternative portfolio review, and then of course we do have some students that are exempt because of their IEPs. Now, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Adams because I really think that this is his show and the show of the high school teachers and definitely all the families that have contributed to the success of these students. I also was saying to the principals as I shared this PowerPoint tonight that there's a lot, when we say it takes a village to raise a child, it truly does. Because all that happens and precedes a child becoming a senior.
We were all set. And then so we'll do that same thing again this year. And then 2021, October 14th, the 12th graders took the SAT. Now we could not have that big testing day because of COVID where everybody would test, so we have to split it up. So that's why next week the 11th graders will take it, the PSAT, and then in January, somehow, some way, we're going to figure out how to test the 9th and 10th graders in the building to keep them socially distanced. So I think that we have a good system. I think this is one of the reasons why our graduation graduation rate has continued to increase, because our teachers are on board, our guidance department is on board, the administrators work very hard to make sure that we are attracting these students.
Mr. Adams, you should note that you should be very proud of the fact that we are #1 in Ocean County with the highest graduation rate.
Yes, matter of fact, Mr. Trethway said I'm going to get a raise. I'm going to get a raise for that. No, I mean it takes a lot of work, and thank you for saying that, because we're very, very proud of that. And you see here, our target was 87.8 and was 92.9. So I think that's a whole building-wide win for us. So.
It also should be said, Mrs. Biscardi, that when we received this performance report, when I reported this information, because this is 18-19, we were told at that point that we would not have another annual target because we had been making strides and been exceeding. So we were marked as an E, exceptional, and then a G, meaning that we don't need to show any type of growth because we had been exceeding for years. So the note said that there's no longer an annual target for this. So when we were when we're looking at it, we're like, oh, this is great, but we still want to maintain for the kids coming the next year and the following year. So I'm thrilled that Mr. Adams is still putting these key pieces in place, because we don't know what this year is going to bring, but we certainly know that we need to make sure that we're being proactive and that our kids are having access to assessments, because those pathways are still going to be available, as I showed you on the preceding slides.
And here is a breakdown of the class of 2020 with the different pathways and where they were successful. And it's broken down. We had 2 denied of graduation. And what I think what a great job is also our guidance counselors have been doing is that we do have summer graduates. So if kids are not able to meet the graduation, now this is not the graduation testing, they've already met that, but just not having enough credits or something like that, our guidance counselors do a good job in making sure those kids graduate in the summer. Do you have any questions for us? All right, thank you very much.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Thanks, Jesse. Before I start with my report, I just want to thank Mr. Adams and Mrs. Pedrosa. Excellent job. And Dennis, that is a tribute when you have, there was really only 4 students that had to go through the portfolio process, which is outstanding. And I know your guidance department does a great job tracking those kids, but I know administration and all the teachers do a great job. So congratulations, that's great. My report, just to go over, first of all, I want to echo Mr. Pate's feelings. We had a staff member, Lena Bullock, pass away, and she had a definite impact on many of our students. Those of you who might know, she was a paraprofessional at Whiting, but she also was in charge of our gospel chorus, and anybody who had gone to the Martin Luther King, which I believe we're the longest running Martin Luther King program, I might even be in the country. She just did an outstanding job with our middle school students and our seniors and our high school students. She will sorely be missed, but she did touch a lot of people's lives, and she'll live on in that regard. But again, as Mr. Pig said, our thoughts and prayers go to her and her family. Just want to talk a little bit about it. When you think you've seen it all, a lot of conversations going on about if we go into a remote situation, there would be no reason for snow days. We don't have to miss any days for snow days. Well, somebody forgot to say if we don't have any technology, we may have a technology day. So today was definitely, last night was definitely my first call ever technology day. I just want to point out that was not really something in our area. It was something coming into the building, and that was an outside contractor. They did work on it today and get it fixed today, but that certainly is an issue going forward. We have to be very careful, but that was something that was obviously beyond our control. I had a parent call me and mentioned to me, he said, I heard your announcement, Mr. Twist, but you didn't need to apologize that many times because my kids were ecstatic about having a day off. So I guess I made somebody's day by doing that. But again, I want to thank Mr. Rauscher for staying with that. And we had a number of phone calls at 8, 9 o'clock, and I guess the 9:30 call was like, it's not going to get done. So, but I do appreciate his help on that. Just go over just really quick our district status, really how we got to where we are now, and what our plans are moving forward. To begin with, and to get things running, and I've mentioned this a number of times, but we did make accommodations for now almost 60 staff members for a variety of reasons, whether they were child care issues, whether there are health-related issues to themselves, whether it's family issues. Many of the situations that our staff or our parents have gone through too. But I do want to thank the staff for working with us, and although we made some accommodations, they did everything they could to be available to teach, because that's what their passion is. So I do want to thank the staff for helping us, and that's the only way that we could have been up and running. We were up and running at the right time, and by following still the health and safety regulations. So again, we were able to open where maybe some districts weren't, but again, I attribute a lot of that to our parents and our staff who did a great job. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay. I want to commend our parents too for doing what they thought would be best in whether they're returning to work, dealing with child care issues, and then helping their students with schoolwork, which was a demanding thing. Because of this, we were able to get back in person, and as I said, and at the right time. Opening the district was our first priority, but our first priority opening the district was the health and safety. So we thought when we met as a committee, it was important to have a temperature check. Not all school districts do that, but I think that was a very important part of what we need to do. We do also complete the daily health screening. We've obviously moved up on in much better participation. Our staff has been very responsive. I thank Mr. Rauscher for sending me that daily reminder to make sure that I fill that out also. But our students, it's very important as I talk to parents and students that they fill out that form to make sure that if anyone has any issues that they would not be coming to school. Students and staff wearing masks, I have to say, I have to commend them. Very positive from our young kindergarten students to all the way up to our seniors. I know how difficult it is to wear a mask, because I know I do struggle a little. And I know we all said, we're wearing masks today, and it's challenging. But again, our students and our staff have done a great job with that. Our breakfast and our lunch program, we received, and Mr. Lawrence and I received at the very last minute a change in saying, by the way, instead of just having free and reduced lunch students receive it, everybody gets lunch and everybody gets breakfast. So that was something that he did a great job working with Pontonian and being able to do the grab and go, which has been good. And we obviously avoided our large areas of the cafeteria. We do have one cafeteria up in the high school for our vocational students, which really worked out well because they are able to eat here before they go to the PM session. So that has worked out well. Our elementary staff and students are the ones that have lunch in their classrooms. And again, I want to commend them for doing a great job. Nearly 2 months we've been into this, and we've had 3 cases. Each one were unrelated. Each one started at the outside, and there was no communication between anybody at the school. So we've been very fortunate on that. That's not something that we can relax on. It's important to maintain the health and safety regulations that we do. I got to commend the Board of Health. They've been great. We do have personal numbers that we're able to call anytime, and the last case we had, I was on the phone with them on Sunday afternoon, conferring with them, making sure that we're doing the right things, because they are by far the experts. And lastly, I want to commend our school nurses. They have been nothing short of fantastic about setting the rules, being aware of all the particular guidelines, and really guiding us as administrators and as a board of what we need to do. And they work very closely with the Board of Health. As far as instructional, we made a big move, and a lot of this had to do with the board and Mr. Lawrence providing the funds, but we are 1-1. That was a move that we made, and being fortunate they were able to do that. We distributed, obviously, the Chromebooks in the summer and the first day of school. We've also provided our staff with some upgraded Chromebooks and laptops. We, like many school districts, had challenges in the beginning of the year with the technology. There's no question. I know teachers, parents, students, administrators, technology, they were all very frustrated because they wanted it to work. They wanted to resolve the issues. Some of the issues were the devices. Some of the issues were Zoom and Google Meets. Some of them were home issues. We've tried to address some of the home issues by getting out some hotspots for places who don't have the internet connectivity. We did receive a Google update that really helped, and since we've had that, it's been a big plus. It's to put it in my terms and not technology terms, but basically the Chromebooks were running at a very high, the processors were running at a high level. They were at 90–95%, and that's why you had that skipping and robotic area. Google put a push out to do a change in the Chromebooks, which once it's implemented, now it's running at the processors are running at about a 45 or 50%, and obviously the technology is much better. So some of the things are in our control, some of them weren't, but I think at this point we're getting better. And understand that not all of our teachers are proficient in all the platforms, but we're doing a great job. Mrs. Pedrosa and her staff and our technology teachers are doing a great job with professional development. I can tell you, we are light years away from where we were in March, light years. We added microphones, hotspots, other aids, replaced older desktops. But the biggest improvement we've had is that our teachers have found different ways to make it work. There's not one solution that works in every case, but I'm just impressed when I go into the elementary, the middle, and the high schools to see the different ways that they are providing the instruction, the workaround. Some use their desktop, some are using 2 Chromebooks, some are using projectors. Some had mentioned, I don't think that's the correct term, but one teacher said I'm using jumper cables. I don't think she was using jumper cables, but there was some kind of connection, and they were making it work. And that's really, that's why we've been so successful at this point. The other thing is, though, we know and I understand it's very challenging to be teaching students in front of you and at the same time teaching students remotely, and that's what we're asking our teachers to do. It's a big challenge, but we're getting better at it. But I can tell you, and I will say, and I was fortunate enough to observe a 5th grade math class. It actually was Mrs. Grunekemper. And I watched her working with 5th grade math, and it was a time that I saw it was basically seamless. She called on the first person in the classroom to do a problem on the projector, did that, explained the problem. The second problem, she asked the remote person to do it on her computer at home, did the problem remotely on the projector. It was like that student was in class. And the other thing that obviously impressed me is they speak math. They did not, it's not a rote memory, it's not a memorization of a formula. They spoke mathematical terms and explained it and had a good discussion. But what really impressed me was it was basically, you thought there was 20 students in the classroom instead of 10 in the classroom and 10 outside. So she did a great job. And that's what we're all striving to do. We are in a hybrid right now. We have been very flexible in allowing some movement the first marking period. I know some people who chose to do remote, or the kids were struggling. We were able to move some of them back. Some students who were in class had some real struggles and they needed to move, they were moving to remote. We got a head start on a lot of districts because we started with the kindergarten right away with the 5 days, with our preschool, ESL students, the many special needs students. Some districts are now transitioning to that, but we've been very fortunate because we felt very important that our younger students get in to have in-person instruction where possible. We're looking to include more now. Right now, we are moving with the elementary special needs students to 4 days, and we should have all of the schools up and running by the end of this week. I think we took a hit today, but we do have the list from both, I know Ridgeway is in and MTS and Whiting have their list in, and they will be able to do that no later than starting Monday. We will be putting out a survey to go out hopefully this week. Again, we took a step back today, but we want to get an idea of our numbers to see if we can bring back more students, particularly at the elementary level, where I know it's very difficult for students to just be here 2 days and be working remotely 3 days. But this is going to still be based on what's safe and the health reasons. We still have social distancing, we still have things that we have to look at, but that's why the survey is so important. We will get the numbers of how many people want to come back 4 or 5 days, how many people want to stay remote. We'll discuss this with the board, we'll discuss this with our committees to see what decisions we can make, but again, as much as we want to bring the students back and do more of 4 days and 5 days instruction, and I know a lot of parents would like that, that's still going to take, the priority is still going to be the safety, so that's something that we have to look at. If the parents do choose remote, when that survey goes out, that's important that they understand that they would be out for the entire second marking period, which takes us now to like February 4th. There would not be any changes allowed because we're looking at getting more students in. It's a very fluid situation. Things can look good now. Next week it could have a different look to it. So it's something that we have to constantly be prepared for. But again, the guiding light has to be the health and safety. That's the guiding light. And as long as we can do that, we're moving toward transitioning to more, but again, only if it's done safely. Lastly, just a couple of quick items. The November break, I just want to talk to parents particularly. We do have a week off in November. There is no school, but I want to caution parents who have made plans or were thinking of making plans of traveling to areas that were on that advisory list. If you do, if you travel where the advisory exists, consider that you would need to quarantine your students for 14 days. Again, it's an advisory. It's strongly encouraged. Same thing with our staff. Mention that to our staff, and we're calling on there to have some definitely some professional responsibility to stay safe and stay home and stay within New Jersey. They're adding even more states to some of the advisory. It's something that we have to be very careful of. And again, it has to be health and safety first, and that's really the first regard. In one case, just to let you know, a district, actually several districts, decided that they thought there would be a problem, and they actually took the 2 weeks off after the break in November, and there was such an outcrying from the community that they changed that policy. Because again, it would be very difficult for even our teachers or parents and so forth to try to get childcare and rearrange things for 3 weeks in a row. That's difficult. So that's not something that we would consider unless it becomes an issue that we have to do something with health and safety. We do, again, looking forward, we obviously have a Thanksgiving Day break, we have a winter break and so forth, so these are things, we want to remain in school, we want to do in-person instruction, but again, making sure that you understand where, if you travel, what those advisories have to be. Last couple of things on the schedule, Mr. Adams talked about the high school schedule for PSAT, and because of the limitations in the number of students we could have, we're looking to get the board to approve an October 29th date, where we would be remote for our students 9, 10, and 12, and the juniors would be able to come in person, just the juniors, and take the PSAT, and I think we've shown some really good positive things by offering that program, as well as the SAT. Now, the SAT, we had a little bit more flexibility, and we were able to offer that on a remote day, so that really didn't affect anything. Unfortunately, PSAT, we're not able to do that, but, so we're asking for that October 29th. I did ask the permission from the county superintendent, and he was agreeable to that, as long as that's what we were doing. It's not on the agenda, but and I think we're looking at now, and I think I have agreement from the board that our high school, and this, I guess I'll be popular again with some high school students, high school final exams, we're looking at eliminating them for the first semester at least, Mr. Adams. I know that upsets you very much, but we won't have the final exam for the first semester for our high school students. I think that's something, considering all the things that we're working on, I think that's something that we can waive for at least for the first semester. And the board was very understanding about that. PTA, I want to just do a shout out for that. I appreciate them inviting me to speak at their first meeting. They have been very supportive of the district, and I would ask that you also support them. It's very difficult this time for them to do their normal fundraisers, so please, if you're not a part of the PTA, join that. It's a great organization, and they do some great things for the district. Do a shout out to the ROTC. They had their inspection. I was able to meet the commander, I guess, who had given. We were the only ones, I think, in any of this general area that actually did the inspection in person. It was something that we wanted to do in person, and I got a very good feeling from the commander. Said our kids did a great job, and our two guys do a great job. Being part of the school district and so forth, they do a great job. Mr. Holzer and Sergeant Hinger. Sports are moving along. We were able to provide transportation to all of our students coming back and forth. We are doing videos, and I want to shout out to Mr. Eckert, who got up on that huge scaffold and that scissor lift and did most of the games of the football game, has done soccer games for the senior nights and so forth. Some schools had done an outside group, and actually the parents have to pay for that. We decided to, basically do it our own, and Mr. Eckert, I want to appreciate his time in getting that done. I do want to point out a retirement on the agenda, A2, Mr. Ferretto. Mr. Ferretto, Mel Ferretto, has been with the district for 36 years. He's retiring in January. I wish him luck, and Mel has been a good person and a good role model for our students for the past 36 years. Parent conferences, I'm going to waive that and let our principals just speak a little bit about what's going on in their school and talk a little bit about their plan for the parent conferences, because they have done all that planning. So I'm going to start with, let's see, Mrs. Major. How you doing, Mrs. Major from Ridgeway? Would you mind saying a few words on based on the conferences, and then anything special going on? Sure.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I was looking forward to actually doing a principal's report this evening, just to let you know how excited I am to just tell you how much progress everyone has been making. So really, the students, the families, the staff, they have been absolutely incredible. And truly, it's not only just the technology, it's a completely different way of teaching and learning. So I'm so proud of all of them, and we're so proud of our students and our families as well.
In September is all new, new progress, a new process for everything. October, we've been working really hard to try to bring normalcy to everything. Let these kids feel like kids, and we've been saying we want to see their eyes smile because we can't see them smile on their faces. Every October, all the elementary schools, our colleagues work on supporting the character education themes for October. So this year is no different, and we really wanted to do that so our students can see. Every year we do the same type of activities, and we wanted to do something a little bit different. So we did recognize Week of Respect. This week, School Safety Week. Sorry, allergies and a mask don't go together. And then Red Ribbon Week, which is coming up. We did a combination at Ridgeway of morning messages, broadcast news. Our guidance counselor provided mini lessons to students, stories, spirit days, and then many different types of activities. And I know my colleagues did some things very similar, which I'll tell you about. We're getting ready for Halloween next week, and actually 2 days, because we have 2 different cohorts. So on the 29th and the 30th, the students will come in with costumes, and there'll be everything from virtual Halloween to individual activities, stories, movie time. And we're really going to try to have a lot of fun and again try to make October. We're all normal, we're back in school, and we're happy you're here. So that's our theme. Our news broadcast got up off the ground this really the last 2 weeks. We'll be expanding that to include more students in the coming weeks, so excited about that. And again, it's just been so much progress to see in everyone's eyes. Everybody's excited, even to bring something simple as broadcast news. They're just so happy. Conferences are November 17th and 18th and 19th. The 18th being a Wednesday. That will be a different kind of a day for our students and our staff. But the conferences this year will be virtual. We are giving our families a choice. If they can't do the virtual, of course, they could do a phone conference, but conferences are not in person this year. So again, that's the 17th, 18th, and the 19th. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Major. Mrs. Swift? I see you over there, Mrs. Swift.
Can you hear me from here?
We can hear you from here.
Good evening,
Sure.
everyone. First, I would like to just take this opportunity to thank the board for the accommodation that was made for me during the month of September for the safety and well-being of my son, who everyone knows is immunocompromised. So I do want to thank you. I do want to just offer again the condolences that were given on behalf of Selena Bullock, who is one of my employees. Of course, as you can imagine, having worked alongside her for many years is quite a shock to all at the Whiting School. I do want to say that I'm so happy to be back with the students, and I want to thank the parents, the students, the staff at Whiting School. They have been absolutely outstanding. Mrs. Moore did an outstanding job during the month of September in my absence, so I want to thank her as well. Mrs. Baser just kind of outlined, I think, what all 3 of the elementary schools are doing, and we're doing things very similarly at Whiting School. The virtual conferences, I think, are going to work well for the safety and well-being of the parents and the staff members. We're doing a modified Halloween program so that we can keep some level of normalcy for our kids and make sure that they can come in their costumes and still enjoy a program in their classrooms with their teachers and their peers. And then, of course, we are celebrating Red Ribbon Week. Our counselor, Ms. Penn, has done a wonderful job doing some activities throughout the week with the students and preparing some things with our staff members to make sure that we can continue to do things as we normally would, and to give our students the opportunity to do things that they can still enjoy and celebrate with our staff members. And like Mr. Trethewey mentioned, we are working towards our efforts to bring in our students on our 4-day and work with our parents of our special education students as best we can to try to provide those educational services that they need and make sure that they can get back to the business of learning. So thank you once again, board and Mr. Trethewey for accommodating me. I appreciate that.
Great to have you back, Mrs. Swift.
I have a question, Mr. Trethewey.
Yes.
It's for all the elementary principals. Welcome back, Mrs. Swift, number 1. But how are parents going to know how to sign up for conferences? Because in the past at the elementary level, the teachers just kind of did it. Are we going to utilize Genesis, and it'll be up to the parents to sign up for the time slots that they need?
Yes. Yes, we're on for everybody now, high school, middle school, and elementary schools will be signed up through Genesis. Okay. Mrs. Moore, help us out with MTES, please.
Similar to what was said, and just to add on to the conferences, we're going to sign up through Genesis, and then we will have the link sent out directly to the parents so they are able to log on that link for the virtual conference. On behalf of Ms. Waldron, we would like to really thank our staff. Synchronous learning has certainly had its challenges. Teachers did an amazing job working with students and getting them online. Also, our students have done an amazing job, whether they're working from home or in school. And we can't thank our parents enough for the support that they've given over this time. MTS would like to also thank Sarah Teefall for stepping in my absence. She is certainly missed. We've had our first fundraiser at MTS. Mrs. Dyer did a Save Around Books fundraiser, and that's been a big success, thanks to our families. Drop off and pick up at MTS are a little bit different this year. They seem to be going well. And similarly, we'll be having Halloween celebrations at the end of the month, 2 days within the classroom to make sure everybody has a chance to come in costume, whether they're in school or show off their costumes from home.
And the remote onlys get 2 days of Halloween costumes?
The remote onlys can wear their costumes as much as they want.
Okay. Well, at least they'll have a mask on their remote only. Mr. Driver?
Well, again, I want to thank the board, like the elementary principals did. Thank you for all that you're doing for us and supporting us during this time. I want to thank my teachers and, of course, the parents who are so supportive in helping us. And, of course, our kids are doing a great job. We had a successful opening of school. We did little changes, too, as Mrs. Moore said. We changed our bus arrival and departure. I was a little nervous because we were afraid that we were going to have too many parent drop-offs of the children and the buses and the parents dropping off. So we utilized the back of the school, and it's worked out really, really wonderful. It's a seamless. I think it takes less time than it used to take, so we're very happy about that. We had a very successful fall season. We're actually wrapping it up. I can't believe it's already almost done. We have only, I think, one more soccer game and one more cross-country meet tomorrow. So now we're already looking to our fall sports and getting them up and running as well. We are starting our virtual meetings in our clubs next week, our Impact Club and our Drama Club and our Student Council. So we're going to be doing some, we have a whole list of activities, what the students are going to do. We had a very exciting month too. We had Week of Respect. We did a breast cancer day last week. We did a pink day and everyone dressed up in pink. Our Mustang Joe's, which is our little coffee cafe at the middle school. They now go to the classrooms to deliver the coffee, and it's wonderful, and the tea, and everybody gets a special treat when they order. And we too have set up our teacher conferences. We're in the midst of doing that this week. We'll get them up and running so parents can sign up for that, and we will be sending out a link. And we are going to be doing November 9th, November 10th, and November 11th. It is right after the break, but we really still want to give a little bit of time so that students can make up work if they're missing work before the end of the marking period. So that's what's going on.
Thank you, Mrs. Driver. Mrs. McAllis, and you'll be happy to know that your power's back on at Regional Day. So.
Well, thank you to the Board of Ed. We are open full-time, 5 days a week, and our staff, families, and students couldn't be happier. They're very excited to be back in their routine. I really have amazing staff. I wanted to publicly thank our custodial staff for keeping our building exceptionally clean, following all the safety protocols. Our students have been phenomenal, following all the protocols, wearing their masks. Students we thought would have a very difficult time are wearing their masks. They're all more than cooperative. Our teachers are also amazing. They're doing Google Meets for social skills, academic, cooking lessons, medium boards that we got this year. Just amazing technology in our building, and I can't thank the Board of Education, Central Office staff for providing our staff with the tools and technology to do this. It looks very different. We're keeping those routines. At Week of Respect, School Spirit Days, we're thinking outside the box. We typically go to pumpkin picking and apple farms, but we brought the farm to the school and let the kids have that opportunity. Our Halloween parade will also be virtual. We started the year with about 30% of our students on remote, and we are down now to 25%. We have some students returning
Thank you. Mr. Adams? No PowerPoint, huh?
Okay, so high school's doing well. I will say that our arrival and dismissal with the buses have been going great. Security, Ms. Maloney has been doing a great job, so that's been seamless. The custodian staff have been outstanding. They are wiping down everything, every period, every 10 minutes, they're wiping down doorknobs and countertops. They're doing a phenomenal job and making sure everything is staying clean. Mr. Trethway mentioned ROTC, annual inspection went great. The kids were fantastic in only 3 weeks of time getting prepared. Our homecoming activities are going well and being planned. We have severe replan, as you heard. It's an interesting thing. First time this year, our football coach had our players give teachers jerseys. So our teachers were wearing jerseys during the day last week. So that was pretty cool. The teachers took a picture at the bricks. So I think everything's going well. The teachers are doing a great job making adjustments. The students have been absolutely phenomenal. Really haven't had problems with the mask. And all tell a kid here or there, but as far as concerning their following directions, we had them testing for SAT, all with their masks and full testing. They've been absolutely fantastic. What the most important thing is parent-teacher conferences will be October 28th and November 11th. Something would have probably gone out today, so we lost a day. So tomorrow morning, we're going to send out a phone dialer to the parents to start scheduling appointments. Instructions for that will be on the website after 10 o'clock. We got to get some time in the morning to get everything on the website. So everything will be there on the website tomorrow morning. We're going to send a phone dial out in the morning, tell them they can start making appointments after 10 o'clock. So parents will be able to make appointments on Thursday, Friday, and Monday to noon. The parent-teacher conferences will be from 7:30 to 1:30 on the 28th and 5 to 7. And then on November 11th, after we get back from the break, we'll have it from 7 to 1:30. So we'll have all that on the website for the parents, so they know with instructions how to schedule appointments on the board.
Thank you, madam. We'll finish up, Mr. Lokerson. Anything that you want to add on the special needs? And
obviously, I'm thrilled that our special needs children are coming back. And they're pretty high numbers. I think Jill was telling me she's around 50. Nikki said 40-ish. And I know Evelyn's working on getting our children back. I've had dozens of conversations with parents over the past few weeks, and what we said to them pretty much is happening. And I thank you, Mr. Trevor, for putting us in a position where we can bring them back. Two things that are on your agenda. One is related to the RISE program. And what I love about this is that we've always had a transition teacher, which means when our children leave our programs at age 21, on July 1 after their 21st birthday, they have a place to go. Whether it's a regular job, a supplemental job, but they have a place to go. The RISE program is dealing with our special needs children who are going and would like to go to college, whether it's junior college or whatever. So every couple of weeks, the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation is putting meetings together for those children to try to support, what they would like to do when they're leaving. And I don't know how Mr. Trethaway did it, but somehow he talked someone into giving us $10,000 for Special Olympics and Challenger programs, and it goes beyond that because it goes to club activities and things like that. And the whole idea is to get our non-disabled population participating with our disabled population in many of our activities. So I'm hoping you guys will approve all of that. I'm not sure if you have anything else to say with that.
No, but it was nice to hear when we had that meeting that you had those plans for years and we just couldn't get them off the ground with that $10,000. We certainly get that. So they were right in tune with what you wanted to do with the clubs and so forth. So thank you, Paul. Okay, that would be it for me. Mr. Lorenzen, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, a couple of things. A couple of things on the agenda. Obviously, with everything else that's been going on this school year, there's obviously a lot of our regular business that we still have to conduct too. And one of the things that we just completed was our application for state school aid upload. This is a very encompassing process, and at first, I want to thank our secretaries, our principal secretaries, central office staff, and I also want to thank Chris and his staff This is a very involved process, and what's important about this report is our state aid is based on these numbers that are on this report. Two things that are a little bit unique to this year. One, being on a hybrid schedule and having approximately 30% of our kids remote. Those kids are currently not on buses or being driven to school. So one of the things we have to make sure is that we're still going to get credit for those students as if we were transporting them to school. And we have found out that whether they're waivers or whether they're remote, we will get credit for those kids on our application for state school aid, even if they are not currently assigned to a bus. The other thing that's kind of been interesting is school lunch. The Summer Seamless, there's a program run through the Department of Agriculture called Summer Seamless Option. What that program does, it allows school districts to provide meals to students over the summer at no cost. Well, that program was extended through December of this year and then has since been extended to the end of the school year. So what that means is every student in Manchester, whether they're free or reduced lunch or not, can have meals at no cost to them or their families. So what we found was families that would normally file applications for free and reduced lunch, since their students or their children were already getting it, didn't file applications. And we sent out several reminders, because there are other programs that are out there, a PEBT program, and those types of things that they would qualify for, and trying to emphasize that even though their students are getting free meals, that they need to get their applications in. So we're going to have to see what those numbers look like. It seems like this has been a statewide issue, and when those numbers are downloaded into our ASSA report, we'll take a look at those, because if those numbers drop off significantly, they can affect state aid, they can affect our federal funding through Title I and the IDEA. So that is going to be an ongoing conversation. We haven't really got anything in writing yet at this point on how they're going to handle that, like we did with the transportation, so that's something we're going to keep an eye on. Believe it or not, this week we'll start the budget process for the 21-22 school year. We're only a month and a half into this school year, and we're starting to talk about budget development for next year. I will be sending information out to the building principals and supervisors this week on some of the guidelines that we're going to have for next year. Really haven't heard much beyond that. We don't really know what state aid is going to look like. With all the money going out, going around for PPE and CARES funding and coronavirus relief and things like that. I was actually sitting in on the meeting today with Senator Sweeney. It's very uncertain what state aid could potentially look like, whether there'll be money to put into the funding formula. So, we'll be developing our budget like we always do, with contingencies in case we need them. But that process is starting this week. On the agenda, you'll see where I'm asking the board to approve Wallace Brothers to be the contractor for the district conference center at the middle school. We had the bid opening a couple of weeks ago. They were the low bid. We discussed this project several months back, so that is on the agenda for approval. Something that corresponds with that is there's also a withdrawal from our capital reserve account that's on the agenda. That withdrawal will be part of the funding to fund the project at the middle school. And lastly, there's the district comprehensive maintenance plan. This is something that we're required to do on an annual basis and submit to the county. Basically what this is school districts are required to do a minimum amount of maintenance on their buildings. The comprehensive maintenance plan determines what that requirement is. Now, obviously, we far exceed what the minimum requirement is on our buildings. And obviously, if you've ever been in them, you'll see that. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the custodial staff, maintenance staff, ground staff for the jobs they do. Our buildings and grounds always look in fantastic shape. And again, this is just a plan to show you what we did last year, what we plan on doing this year, and what we're potentially looking to do next year. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pete?
All right, do any board members have reports to share tonight?
Yes, I would. Go ahead, Bill.
Sure.
Yep.
First, I'd like to thank all the staff and the administration and for the opening and for making the best of a horrible situation and getting things happening for the kids of Manchester. You guys are doing a great job. I'd also like to congratulate Mrs. DeLeo and Ms. Grill again on being honored tonight. My thoughts and prayers are with the Bullock family. I was blessed to be able to see her performance that she put on at the Martin Luther King performance last year, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to go see it. She did an amazing job, and I'm sure she will be missed greatly. I'd like to congratulate the football team. I love the jersey idea. I did see some of those pictures, but I got to watch their first victory over Lacey on a friend's big screen in their backyard. Different way to watch a football game, but it was a cool experience watching around the fire. I love watching the senior night pictures pop up on social media. I think the posters and the banners that they're making for these kids are awesome. So congratulations to you, class of 2021. Keep posting those pictures, they're amazing. Back to school nights were definitely different this year, but the teachers did an awesome job. I have to give a shout out to my daughter Avery's bus driver. She drives bus 27, her name is Sheila Sontag. Avery went from taking a bus at Hilltop in a small controlled environment to taking the bigger bus. Her bus driver made her feel welcome, and she's amazing. She even brought her back home when she forgot to get off the bus the other day, so I appreciate that. Mrs. Mazer and Mr. Wilkerson, you have some amazing child study team members. Josh Simpson, Courtney Sote are amazing humans. My sister's son, my nephew Carter, is classified, and he's now attending the preschool program over at Ridgeway. They made getting his IEP ready and for his start an easy process. They did an amazing job with his goals and objectives, and we are so excited that he's blessed with Mrs. Kennedy because she's such an amazing teacher. So please thank them for me. Progress reports on Genesis I thought went well. It's greatly appreciated, real easy to navigate. I'm hoping everybody else at home appreciated them. And I also like the fact that we're saving some paper that way. I got to attend the middle school girls soccer game the other day. One of my daughter's best friends plays, and it was fun to be outside watching a game. I'm also happy, as was mentioned before by Mrs. Driver, that the middle school sports, or well, not just middle school, all winter sports for middle school and high school have been approved, so I can't wait to see what's going to happen with them and hopefully get to some of those games as well. I know a lot of parents are extremely happy, and by parents I mean the resource parents, because their kids will start going back to school more frequently. And I just can't wait, and I'm hoping sooner than later we can get even more faces back in the buildings. I read tonight that Mr. Alfredo is retiring. He was my third grade teacher. One of my children was also blessed to have him, and I wish him the best of luck. He's a great educator, and he's going to be a hard person to replace. And my children thank you, Mr. Chatoulet, because instead of doing schoolwork today, they got to go to Buffalo Wild Wings with my sister, who took them for the day. So thank you again to everybody. Congratulations on a great start to the school year, and hopefully this ends sooner than later. Thank you.
My husband also thanks you, Mr. Truckler. I just had two quick things because I know we have a lot on the agenda tonight, and we've already been here for quite a while. I just wanted to mention the reservations that I originally had about when I heard that the back-to-school nights would be virtual. I didn't know how that would go. In my district, we pre-recorded videos and just played them. So I had the opportunity to sit in on a class, a virtual back-to-school night at the high school. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was nice to see parents actually showed up. They joined, they clicked on the link, they joined. They knew enough not to turn it into conferences. They listened attentively, and I was pleasantly surprised with how well it worked out. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, I work in the OCBTS district, and I've had the opportunity to see how the transportation is working from Manchester for the students, and I've just been pleasantly surprised. This morning, I wasn't in school today, so I dropped my son, who attends Mates, off here to catch his bus to go to Mates. And even though school was closed today, those buses pulled up, and the students got off and then got on their buses to go to PAA or Mates or Alps. So it was just seamless, and knowing how the A-B hybrid schedule must be affecting the bus drivers and the schedules, especially with vocational, I just really wanted to give a shout out to transportation because I think they're doing an excellent job. And that is it for me.
Thank you.
I just have a couple things. First of all, to echo what's been said, congratulations again to Mrs. DeLeo and Mrs. Gurley on their accomplishments. And again, deepest condolences to Whiting School and to the family of Selena Bullock on the loss of her to our district. One thing I brought up last month, Mr. Trethewey, was, and this is also directed towards our elementary principals, is our elementary instrumental music program. I want to make sure that that's being implemented. I know we had a lot of other priorities to get the school year started, and I want to make sure that that program is instituted as quickly as possible so that our program does not suffer long-term down the road. So if we could, address that, I appreciate it. And that's really about it for me, so thank you.
Hi. Okay, just want to share a couple things. First of all, definitely congratulations to Ms. DeLeo and Ms. Grilly. Awesome people. Great job that you're doing. Keep doing it, because we know you will. Thank you to everyone, students, family, teachers, support staff, custodians, bus drivers. Your patience and hard work are very much appreciated during this extremely difficult time, and we really appreciate it. Mr. Lorenzen, you made a valid point about October 15th. I know with my job, that's a critical day. So great job there, great job with everyone that helped you out with getting all those reports into the state, because we know they're so important. My condolences also to the Bullock family. I taught one of her daughters in Berkeley, and it's very sad to hear. Also, congratulations to the ROTC for their inspection. I also just want to share that I did go to many of the sporting activities throughout this past month. Many of the tennis matches coached by Mr. McKinnon, and the varsity team right now is currently 8-2. The 2, by the way, I just want to make a point, is that Monsignor Donovan. So technically, where's Mr. Lister? Oh, he's not. All right. Technically, they could be Section B's winner, provided we get 2 more matches in. So that would be awesome. The football game, I saw, again, Central was the freshman team, so a lot of my former students that are on the Central team were there playing as well. They were really playing their hearts out, both those sports. I got to attend some of the boys and girls cross-country meets coached by Mr. Morris and Mr. Picton. All of the boys and girls were running their hearts out. So cute, just watching them all out there. I got to also watch the middle school soccer game against Point Borough the other day. They were having a great time, getting that fresh air in their lungs and doing what they love to do. I also attended the PTA meeting with Mr. Trethewey the other night. The PTA is gung ho, they're ready to go. They have so many great ideas, so I look forward to attending their next meeting. I think it's in January, right, Mr.? All right. I also attended a lot of meetings that I'm going to kind of be brief about. I think everybody kind of knows I love to attend meetings. As an Ocean County School Board Vice President, I attend every other week what they call CAL meetings, the County Association of Leadership meetings, where we meet with all of the county on a WebEx meeting. We've had a lot of legislative updates doing that. We've shared our opening and closing stories. Well, our opening stories, not our closing stories. So we had another meeting October 5th where we had 2 teachers from the state of New Jersey that came, the 2 teachers of the year, a teacher from New Brunswick and a PE teacher from New Brunswick and an English teacher from Haddonfield, Kimberly Hughes. They talked about the challenges that they faced throughout the pandemic. I also decided that I wanted to try to go to more county meetings. We have that ability, and I'm not sure that all of our members are aware of that, but you are allowed to attend virtually all of the county meetings throughout the state. So I made that my goal. I made the goal to go to as many county meetings as possible. And you're probably saying, why? Like, you have a family and you have a life. Well, this is a part of my life, and the part of it is going and finding out more ideas to bring back to Manchester, to make Manchester even better than what it is. And not only here, but to share with the county. As a county leader, I like to share with my whole county, and we talk about a lot of things that go on. And so that's why I attended, oh my goodness, I attended Somerset meeting, I attended Passaic, Hunterdon, Essex, Cape May, so many county meetings, but they were so important. One of which I just want to point out, a lot of them are all about their openings. Their BAs share a lot of stories. Their superintendents share a lot of their openings. But one that really impacted me the most probably was the Essex County meeting last week, October 14th. They recognized that this is Bullying Awareness Month, and they also recognized the fact that this is the LGBTQ History Month. There was a panel of distinguished speakers that included an assemblywoman. She's a sponsor of the anti-bullying bill that's right now in the House. Who else was it? We also had Jane Clemente. She's the co-founder and CEO of the Tyler Clemente Foundation. I don't know if you remember that story. A very sad story about Tyler Clemente, a student from Rutgers that took his own life. Alicia DiLorenzo, who's been on a lot of different meetings throughout the county and throughout the state level. She's the founder and owner of Living Yes LLC. She does a lot on social emotional learning, which is a very important part as to why I go to these meetings, to bring back these ideas, because social emotional learning is so critical right now for you families, right now for you teachers, students. We know you need that, so that's why we're bringing these ideas back. We had somebody there from the Garden State Equality that talked about the LGBTQ. There were so many great ideas. So I have been talking a lot to Mr. Trathaway, Mr. Pate about a lot of these ideas. And the biggest one I am stressing so much, because families, I know you're going through things, teachers, I know you're going through things, kids, I know, and we're gonna work on that social emotional component because it's so important. It really, really is. What else do I need to tell you? I was invited to a meeting just with Governor Murphy on September 30th, and he talked a lot about the programs that are going on, about how Ocean County is considered a hot spot, and I think it still is. I mean, that was September 30th, but I'm sure we're still in the same situation right now. And I mean, there were so many other meetings, but like I said, the reason why I go to these is to bring back ideas to Manchester. Don't think that we're not listening, everybody, because we are. We want to make this a better place because there's so much going on, and we care, and we're passionate, and that's my board report. Thank you.
Hearing none, I'll open the floor now to public participation for agenda items only. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on. Do we have no business or any correspondence, Mr.
We have no old business, no correspondence.
Okay, let's move on to the action items in the agenda here. I can read it in the slide. Old eyes here. Section 1A, minutes, number 1 and 2. Do you have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Pate?
Yes. All right, B, travel, number 1. Need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Pate?
Yes. C, comprehensive maintenance plan, spoken about Mr. Ransom before in the report. Need a motion?
Motion? Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
And Mr. Pate?
Yes. D, joint transportation agreement. Need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. Pate?
Yes. E, capital reserve account withdrawal, number 1. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Any discussion? What's the timeline on this, Mr. Ransom?
If we board approve this tonight, preliminary start for construction would be December, and a preliminary end date would be late spring.
Okay, very good. All right, roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes. F, conference center, can't read that. Alteration, okay. That's it, oh, I didn't see your guys. Number 1, need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes. All right, moving on to section 2, A, administrative, number 1 through 6. Need a motion?
Motion? Second?
Any discussion?
Yes, actually, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Trethaway, so for number 6, on the day, on the 29th, where 9, 10, and 12 grades are virtual, what is the expectation of the teachers that day? Are they going to be in school?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm asking because you had said you might need the classroom space to spread out the 11th graders?
Yeah, they're gonna use bigger spaces, I believe, just like you did the SAT, if that's
Okay.
the correction, yeah. So they should have the classrooms available.
So the teachers will come in
Yeah.
virtually and teach? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes. B, personnel, number 1 through 42. Need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
I just want to say again, congratulations to Mr. Ferretto on your retirement. You've worked hard, you deserve it. You will be greatly missed.
Congratulations.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes, abstain on number 40.
Okay, Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes, abstain on number 30.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
On number 30, abstain. On Ed Hudak, yes to the rest.
And Mr. P?
I abstain on number 34 and number 36, and yes to the rest. All right, student personnel, C, numbers 1 through 3. Need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes. All right, section 3, finance, A, numbers 1 through 5. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Jenner?
Yes.
Ms. Biscardi?
Yes.
Mr. Staples?
Yes.
Ms. Mount?
Yes.
Ms. Hudak?
Yes.
Mr. P?
Yes. All right, we'll open the floor to public participation for any items. And now? I think pretty much everybody spoke. Oh, there's one.
Always one.
It's not as a principal, but as a parent, and as a community member, I just wanted to address the board. In light of what happened with George Floyd incident and, the racial injustice that's going on, and I know the board has been, and the superintendent and all the administrators have been very busy with COVID. I have not heard that addressed at all. We have quite a few children of color in our school district, and I think it's very important that certain issues be addressed and not overlooked. And so I'm not looking for answers, but I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the board. The superintendent and I did have a conversation about it. He did send me something about I think it was some kind of webinar, send me some information, but I'm just bringing this to the attention of the board because this is something very, very important. A lot of our students are struggling with this, and I just don't want this to be overlooked. So I'm just bringing this to everyone's attention that there should be some discussion. I did see some schools that are, we have the anti-bullying school. I did see some schools do anti-racist schools, and they have some kind of coalitions, some racial injustice coalitions in schools. So I'm just bringing this to the attention because I'm speaking on behalf of people of color for this town and for the school district.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Adams.
definitely.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Oh, right here.
Can I just ask two quick things? I don't
Sure.
know what the
Identify
process.
yourself, please, and tell us your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tara Oliver.
Okay?
Regarding the high school, I don't know what the process is for the lunches. Are they refrigerated at all, or the breakfasts? Because unfortunately, my kids throw half of it out because the milk's coming home warm and the pizza's been sitting out, and they'd rather be safe than sorry. So can someone tell me what the process is?
In what particular, I mean, I know there was a question whether they have to be cooked or whatever. I know
No,
the food is
is
cooked.
anything refrigerated? Because by the time they get home,
Okay,
everything is warm to
Warm.
yeah.
that's something to add, right?
And then,
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that everything obviously is refrigerated up until the time that everything is put together and given to the students to take home. So now, depending, I don't know how long that window is between when they have the food and they get home. So there is gonna obviously be some kind of warming process, but when I did speak with the food service director, for example, you mentioned the milk. Now, we know the milk is good for at least 4 to 5 hours from the time it comes out of the refrigerator, so that milk should be fine at home. But, I mean, I can speak with them and see if there's a way to keep that stuff refrigerated longer. But we are preparing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 2,000 meals a day. So, you know, we'll definitely try to work. I'll see what, I'll see what else we can do, but just know that the food that we're sending home, I mean, unless it's not getting there for 7 or 8 hours, is safe.
is it assembled at the school or someplace else?
It's assembled here.
Okay. And then my other question was National Honor Society at the high school. Do we know when that's starting? I've had my children check in with guidance and they're getting, we have no idea basically as an answer.
I can answer that for you. The committee just met this week of all the students who apply. And so we do have, the committee met, we voted on who was getting in, who was not. And so that should be coming out soon.
What about existing members though?
Existing members, your child's already a member of the National Honor Society?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So once we just want to get to this process first, and then we'll move on about things and that they can do.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to be having a ceremony to induct them into this year or virtual?
Oh, sorry. What we decided is that the kids that get in this year, we are going to wait to the spring to actually do an induction ceremony because if it's still the same situation, we'll probably do something outside. So we'll say the people that are in, we'll give them something and get them active in the National Honor Society, but we'll do something from last year and from this year, everybody, one ceremony in the spring.
Okay. Please make sure we're invited to that, please.
Yes, sir.
And it is important to tell them now, because it's important to put on their college applications if they're going for early,
Absolutely. Yes,
early admission, that kind of thing. It's important to put that on there. Good. All right, anyone else? Seeing none, I ask a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming. See you in a couple of weeks.